All right, futures are near unchanged here today to slightly down. S&P futures actually exactly flat here, 0.00% change. Dow futures here down 0.3. That's likely because of Microsoft, down 0.30. And the NASDAQ actually just turned green. It was just flat, and now it is up 0.02%. So for the most part, we are basically just flat here today. Now, let's take a look at some cues from the last session. The S&P 500 sectors largely declined on Wednesday as real estate, consumer staples, and material stocks recorded the biggest losses. The meeting between President Trump and President Xi yielded significant agreements, including reduced U.S. fentanyl tariffs in exchange for China restarting tremendous amounts of U.S. soybean imports, a settled deal on rare earths, and strong indications that a broader trade deal is going to be imminent, quote, pretty soon. So some pretty good news there, although not totally official. That gives us another possible upside catalyst. We'll see when that does end up coming. Despite the positive meeting, Fed Chair Jerome Powell's speech on Wednesday weighed on stocks as he cautioned that another cut is, quote, not a foregone conclusion. Far from it, end quote. This is pushing back against expectations that have built up across financial markets in recent weeks. And I'm sure we're going to be talking about it here today. But how many of you think we're going to be getting a rate cut in December? Looks like there's some question about that, and the CME Fed Watch tool supports that as well. The 10-year Treasury bond yielded 4.07%, and the 2-year bond was 3.59%. Now, we do have some stocks in focus here today, and none of them should be a surprise. The first one here is Alphabet. Alphabet soared 7.57% in the pre-market on Thursday after reporting better than expected financial results for the third quarter, with revenue of $102.35 billion and earnings of $2.87 per share. Both of those beat the estimates. The key here is Google Cloud revenue growth. In my opinion, they caught up to Microsoft and caught up to Amazon. Maybe not completely caught up, but they absolutely closed the gap. Google here actually trading at 299.82 as your high print here in the pre-market. We might see 300 prints out of Google here today. The next one is Meta. Meta Platforms tumbled 7.39% despite upbeat earnings. However, its diluted earnings per share of 105, which includes a one-time non-cash income tax charge of $15.93 billion, made the results not directly comparable to Wall Street estimates of 668 per share. Meta also had a comment. We're going to cover it here in a sec, but Meta had a comment about increased costs too, increased CapEx spending on the AI front. Microsoft is our third stock in focus here today. They declined 2.78% as it estimates second quarter sales of $79.5 billion to $80.6 billion versus the market estimate of $79.95 billion. Microsoft actually is up off the lows in the pre-market today, so there might actually be a short-term trade setting up for Microsoft here today. Amazon was 0.5 lower, or 0.5% lower, ahead of its scheduled earnings to be released after the closing bell today. It didn't stop with the big earnings yesterday. Today is going to be Apple and Amazon. Analysts are expecting $157 per share on revenue of $177.74 billion. Apple rounds out our list. As I just mentioned, shares were 0.72% higher as analysts expected to report earnings at $177 per share on revenue of $102.17 billion after the closing bell.